This is the Zodiac speaking.
In the late 1960s, California was glowing with youth, love, and freedom. The summer of love had swept through San Francisco just 2 years earlier. But beneath the music, the peace, and the protests, a darkness began to rise. A killer was stalking the Bay Area, a man who murdered without reason, wrote without remorse, and mocked the world through letters and codes. He called himself the Zodiac. It was America's birthday, July 4th, 1969. While most were celebrating, two young people, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau, parked in a secluded spot at Blue Rock Springs Park. They didn't know someone was watching. A car approached slowly, headlights cutting through the dark. It stopped, then drove away. Moments later, it returned. Darlene Ferrin, just 22 years old, was killed instantly. Mike Mageau survived despite being shot multiple times. His description of the attacker, a heavy-set man around 5 feet 8 inches, wearing dark clothes, would become the first living clue to one of America's most terrifying killers. Just 40 minutes later, the Vallejo Police Department received a call. The voice on the other end was calm, deliberate, chillingly controlled.
If you go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you'll find young people in a brown car. They've been shot by a 9mm Luger. I also killed those young people last year. Goodbye.
The line went dead, but the nightmare had just begun. The kids last year referred to another unsolved attack, one police hadn't yet linked. Inside was a blood-stained scrap of cloth, cut from the shirt of murdered cab driver Paul Stein. The letter was signed once again with that chilling crosshair symbol.
This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxicab driver over by Washington and Maple Street last night. I am the same man who gave the police such a hard time.
It was undeniable. The Zodiac had just confirmed the murder himself and mocked investigators for failing to catch him while he walked calmly past officers searching the area only minutes after the shooting. In the weeks that followed, letters continued to arrive. The Zodiac boasted of collecting slaves for the afterlife and threatened to shoot school buses full of children. Panic gripped Northern California. Parents followed buses in their own cars. Police cruisers shadowed playgrounds. The Zodiac had turned fear itself into a weapon. When San Francisco lawyer Melvin Belli offered to mediate on live television, a caller claiming to be the Zodiac phoned in. "I don't want to go to the gas chamber. I have headaches." The voice was frightened and broken. Nothing like the confident letters. Police traced it to a mental patient, another dead end in a case built on shadows. In November 1969, the Zodiac sent a new 340-character cipher, a maze of symbols even the FBI couldn't decode. For decades, it remained unsolved. Only in 2020, over 50 years later, would a team of codebreakers finally decipher it. I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Even half a century later, the Zodiac's mocking voice still echoed through the cracked code. By the early 1970s, detectives had a prime suspect. Arthur Lee Allen, a former school teacher from Vallejo. He matched the physical description. He owned a watch bearing the Zodiac symbol, and he had told friends he wanted to hunt people for sport. But handwriting tests were inconclusive, fingerprints did not match, and there was no DNA evidence yet to tie him to the crimes. When Allen died in 1992, so did the strongest lead police had. After 1974, the letters nearly stopped. Some experts believe the Zodiac was imprisoned or died. Others think he simply grew tired of the game. By then, 5 victims were confirmed, but the Zodiac claimed 37. Decades later, police would reopen the case many times, testing letters for DNA and cross-checking new databases. Each time, the trail ended in silence. The Zodiac killer became more than a criminal. He became a legend of fear. Films, books, and theories have kept his name alive for half a century. But for the families of the victims, the story is not a mystery. It's a life stolen, a loved one gone, and a killer who still has no face. Every cipher was a taunt, every letter a challenge to a world he believed he could outsmart. And perhaps he did, because to this day, no one knows who the Zodiac really was. If you've made it this far, you've heard one of the darkest stories in American crime history. The Zodiac killer remains an enigma, a shadow that taunted the world and then disappeared. Subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories from the world's most notorious